It's time for Pod of the Dead.
Wrestler energy.
Yeah. Now listen here, brother.
Oh God, he's back.
No. He's back, bitches.
Special guest.
Special guest Hulkamaniacs.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me as always are the two ladies, Stephanie and Natasha.
Oh, hi.
On today's episode, we are going to be covering a very recent film. It is going to be 2023's Talk to Me. Before we start breaking into all of that, Tasha, would you like to tell us what Talk to Me is?
Oh, I sure would. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces.
See, that's not the storyline that I've got. One, it just says, a girl named Ella has the purest heart living in a cruel world filled with evil stepsisters and an evil stepmother out to ruin her life. Ella becomes one with her pure heart when she meets the prince and dances her way to a better life with a glass shoe and a little help from her fairy godmother, of course.
What?
Is that not the movie that we watched?
Ella Enchanted? Is that what you're talking about?
Hold on, let me check this out.
This is my job. I found the right one.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
He's reading Ella Enchanted.
Why?
The tagline is "Midnight is just beginning." I don't know.
What's happening?
I don't know.
I think I watched the wrong movie.
Apparently, yeah.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah. He's going to be spouting something that's about was Anne Hathaway in that movie, and we're going to be talking about Talk to Me. Yeah.
So, what are your girls' history with this film as I go and watch Talk to Me?
Okay.
When this came out, I had no interest in seeing it. I saw the previews and it didn't look good, mainly because it follows like high school students, and that's not something I usually gravitate towards. And also, I'm not a huge fan of possession movies, so it was one that I just passed on.
I kind of feel the same way, but I just knew about it because you, Nick, went and saw it with Wesley, and you told me that it was really scary, and I was very leery about watching it.
I didn't say it was really scary. You keep hitting that line. I said it was creepy.
Oh my, it doesn't matter. Anyway.
There's a difference.
Okay. So I was like, I don't know if I want to see this movie. And I wasn't really keen on it anyway in the first place. So that's pretty much all I knew about it, other than I knew, like what Tasha said, it had teenagers and it had possession in it. And that was about the extent of it. So.
Yeah. I ended up watching this. I'd heard about it. I didn't know it was an A24 film. All I heard about it was from our son Wesley, who kept seeing trailers of it on YouTube. So my rule is always, there's a horror film you want to see, let me know, we'll go see it. That's all I knew about it. I knew the poster, that was it. So I was like, okay, this is going to be like a standard run-of-the-mill like Abigail, or the stuff that like just is like kind of your, I don't want to say family friendly, but just like you're kind of chucking it out kind of horror film.
Like an entry level.
Kind of something. Because I didn't know the rating of it, which isn't a thing to me when it means taking the kids, but like I'm not a fan of PG-13 horror. This is not PG-13, but I didn't know that like going into it, and then I was just like, oh shit, they're really going hard on this. So what I did say is like when I watched it, I came back and I was like, oh Steph, that shit was creepy. It was pretty fucking dope. And watching it for the podcast was actually my second time, because I'd kind of held myself off from watching it again until we covered it for the podcast. So this is now our second film for May 24. One of the interesting things, though, is that this film is written and directed by the Philippou brothers, Danny and Michael, who I didn't know when I was watching it. I know these guys, not personally, but I know these guys from YouTube. These guys are huge YouTube guys. They have a channel called Raka Raka where they do insane, like short video kind of thing. Some of them are horror, some are action. Like it's like real world Street Fighter where it's all over the top crazy shit. So like they do like for a YouTube series and stuff, they've got like over 4 billion views and stuff like that. So they're like YouTube darlings in a way. They've been doing it forever. And that was one of the big things when they came into making this film is like, so how was it transferring? Because this is their debut film. How is it transferring from YouTube to this? Mm-hmm. And they said like the hardest thing was just getting the financing, because a lot of people were like, you know, making a 4-minute short, 5-minute short, how does that transfer into a 90-minute film, you know, with character development and all that stuff? So they, you know, they definitely like got some backing and stuff. They had some producers really going out there and like drumming up some money and all that stuff. So I'm really excited that they did. And then, like, I didn't go into it knowing that they were the ones, but then instantly once I found out, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I'm rooting for these guys to do good. And then the movie was fucking dope, personally. And yeah, so
I was really surprised. You sent us that YouTube clip of like an interview with them. And I never would have guessed that those two created this movie. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, they're so over the top and just like, I fucking hate you. Like that, like, because it was an IMDb like interview, and it's just like they ask each other questions, and it's just like, so what does it feel like knowing that you're an absolute disappointment to mom and dad?
Yeah.
Like just ridiculous. But yeah, so knowing that's an A24 film and all that, what do you think this film was made for budget wise?
10 million.
All right, so you're thinking what you saw on screen and everything, $10 million.
Yep.
Okay.
With them being so new and young, I'm gonna shoot low and say 4.5 million.
It has taken us 33-ish episodes, and Tasha, you hit it right on the head.
Yay!
It was made for $4.5 million.
That's awesome.
What do I win?
Free brain surgery. So yeah, so what you saw on screen was $4.5 million. Okay. Its worldwide box office off of that, what do you think it ended up bringing in?
Probably a lot. But I always say that about A24 films, but it was a horror movie that was also kind of designated towards teenagers, and teenagers love horror movies, it seems. So,
well, and I'll step in before you guys give your numbers and stuff. There was, and this doesn't have anything to do with budget or anything like this, but when this like was shown at Sundance and all that, there was a bidding war over this film. So between A24 and Blumhouse and like Neon and stuff, they all wanted it. So it was very interesting because like there's on Raka Raka's YouTube page, you can watch it. It's literally they're like showing at Sundance and all of that stuff going on where people are like blowing up their phones, like fucking loved it, all this stuff. Like Jordan Peele got a hold of them and was like, that was amazing. Like it's really cool to see these guys that like sink or swim, this is what we're gonna do. And they even turned down doing a DC film before this because they wanted this to be their directorial debut. They wanted to do this thing by their hands. They turned down a big deal. They didn't name drop the company, but because they would have had too many notes and hands-on stuff, that they're like, no, we want this as is. We want this to be from pad to screen what we have in mind. So I just thought that was something kind of interesting, but it doesn't affect what its box office is. But considering we're talking about budget and stuff like that, I figured that I'm going to guess
because it was a pretty good, famous, whatever. I'm going to go with 180.
180. All
right. Shot in the dark, 95 million.
Tasha, you're so close again. It is 92 million.
This movie. That's awesome.
92 million. So yeah, you're right within it.
I'm killing it.
But yeah, so in the United States and Canada, Talk to Me was released alongside like The Haunted Mansion by Disney.
Yeah.
And was projected to make $4 or $5 million from its 2,300 theaters its opening weekend. It made that in its first day.
Cool.
And then the weekend estimates were expected to be like 10 million. It ended up making a little over that, and it finished 5th in the box office for its opening weekend, making it the best start for an A24 film since Midsommar in July of 2019. The film then made 6.3 million in its second weekend. And yeah, the film still remains in its, the film remained in the top 10 over the first 6 weeks of its release. And on September 3rd of that year, it surpassed Hereditary as A24's highest grossing horror film domestically. It's actually their A24's second highest grossing film ever, only behind the Picture
Anywhere,
of the Year.
Everywhere, All at Once. Yeah.
Yep, that was their highest grossing film.
Okay. That's cool.
Man, I would have liked to see Midsummer in theaters.
It just did a re-release a month or so ago.
Really? At AMC's?
It was at select AMC's.
Oh, okay.
Because I really wanted to go, because they did Midsommar, they did The Witch, they did some, I don't know if Talk to Me was really, I think it was, and X. Those are the ones that they put out, because it was like every weekend there was an older one. And I was like, oh, that's fucking dope. But of course, our local one's like, no, you can't have that. So,
but they did give you Alien, so there's
yes,
that.
I did get to see Alien, so I get to check.
How was that?
It was cool. It sucks that I watched it just that month and everything. So I was like, it's still pretty fresh in the system. But it was neat because it had like a interview with what's his name? The name's escaping me, but the director of the new one, Fede Alvarez of Alien. Was it called Romulus?
Oh, okay.
And then it was him interviewing Ridley Scott, the original director of Alien. So that was really cool to see them like kind of going back and forth. And then the film started, and it was almost just me in the theater, and I was like, it's finally happening. And there was only 2 other people, because I went on a Sunday afternoon. You know, it was cool. I loved it. Ate my popcorn, drank my cherry Coke. You know, did all the things.
Loving life.
Yep. But I will say. A little funny note for this, this doesn't give anything away, but I would like to let all of the listeners and the girls here know that all filming with live animals was monitored by professional handlers, and animal actions were actually created with special and visual effects. No real kangaroos were harmed, and no real dogs were kissed.
Oh, thanks God.
So yes,
no real dogs were kissed.
Yeah. Jesus. That was so gross.
But you had mentioned, Tasha, about like, you know, high school kids in this movie and stuff like that. This is kind of credited, and I don't know where you draw the lines on this stuff, not you, but like people in general, as being like the first Zoomer horror film, like big Zoomer horror film. So like the whole thing of like, not TikTok, was it Snapchat being a big thing in this? Everything's being recorded by phone. Like that's such a thing of like witnessing these things happen and people just watching it on camera, like the opening of this film. Not going to give anything away, but that's actually, it all comes from, I can't remember which one it was. I believe it was Danny, said that he was, when he was younger, he was like a babysitter for these kids and stuff. Kids using it lightly, like they were like, you know, younger, but then as they got a little older, one of these kids started like, you know, experimenting with drugs and stuff like that, and had taken a drug and was having a bad reaction to it. And the way he found out about it was people were recording this thing, and he saw it on his phone, and it really affected him. So he kind of kept that in his mind when he was writing the script for this. And then also with like the whole idea of the hand, the idea came from, he was in a really bad car accident, and he was like in super shock afterwards. So he was in the hospital. The doctors are like he says like the doctors are bringing heaters in, they're covering him with blankets and everything. And it wasn't until, I don't know if it was a friend of his or like his sister, came in and like held his hand and stuff, and like that human connection and stuff is like the thing that brought him out of shock, and that kind of stuck with him. So between those two things, those were some like driving forces of like creating this movie a bit. The original script for it was more akin to like a comedy, not like it wasn't, he didn't write the script all on his own right off the rip. So a friend of his had written, it was someone that worked with Raka Raka and stuff, like had been doing all that, had written this like possession film that was like a comedy. So he was asked to do like a rewrite on it and stuff, and he just started incorporating all these other things, and it just started getting darker and darker, and he was just like, no, it just needs to be a horror film.
Yeah, there's nothing funny about this movie.
No. So it kind of went down that rabbit hole and stuff. But yeah, like it's really interesting, like the whole idea of it being like high schoolers and stuff, because like there's like party scenes and everything in this. And I was like telling Steph, I was like, there's a party like in an apartment with like brick walls and shit like that. I was like, that was my first apartment. That like that atmosphere is when I first moved out. Tasha and I's cousin Brendan and I got a well, he'd already had the apartment. I ended up moving in with him, and it was just like a party house. Like that's what we did. Like it was like go to work, get off work, smoke weed, drink beers, Aqua Teen Hunger Force DVDs running on the DVD player all the time, eating nachos and pizza. That was like 2 years of my life. So like the first time I saw this film and like saw that scene, I was like, holy crap, this takes me back to that kind of thing. So the more things change, the more they stay the same in a way. So when they're like, it's a Zoomer film, I'm like, well, I mean, outside all the cell phones and stuff, it still felt very relatable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, unless you girls have anything else you want to hit up before we get into spoiler territory, I do have like what came out this year and everything that we can start hitting on.
Yep.
So
Yes,
this came out last year. It ended up being like the 9th highest grossing. And this is just domestic, I believe. Nope. This is global market. So for 2013 in horror, number 10 was The Boogeyman, which I actually just watched recently. It's PG-13 horror and is actually pretty good. It's based off of a Stephen King short. Then Talk to Me. Saw X came out last year. The Exorcist Believer, Evil Dead Rise, Insidious The Red Door, The Nun 2, Megan, which was a huge box office hit that came in number 3. Scream 6 came out last year. And then I am blown away by how much money this movie made, because this was released streaming and in theaters at the same time. Five Nights at Freddy's was the highest grossing horror film for the year by a fuck ton. It made $137 million, it says.
I'm not shocked.
And and that's first place, including the fact that like a lot of people were able to watch it just on Peacock or Paramount, whichever one it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because that's not counted in that.
Correct.
Got it.
But so that's horror. But then, I mean, it's not that long ago. Obviously, it was just last year, but kind of giving you a little look back into like what 2023 was in cinemas. Top 10 films, no horror films. No horror films in the top 10.
Because most of those horror films that you named are garbage.
I mean, let me see.
Okay, that's harsh.
Oh,
Just,
I mean, your
at least
opinion.
For me, not interesting at all. I've seen one of them.
The Boogeyman I liked. Talk to Me I liked. Evil Dead Rise was okay. Megan was good for what it was supposed to be. Like, it wasn't for me. Like, the kids loved it. And same with Five Nights at Freddy's. The kids loved it. It wasn't for me. Scream 6 was okay. So I saw quite a few of them, but so 2023 in films, we've got the Pixar film Elemental bringing in the 10th spot.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Okay.
It's cute. I really like it.
Okay.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is where I'm at in my Mission Impossible run. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, goody.
Yep. The Little Mermaid live action.
Okay. I never seen that either.
Wonka, which Sydney watches all the time. She loves that movie.
And I saw it in theater, did not like it. So
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Amazing. A little too long.
I need to see those.
Fast
so cool.
X.
Ugh.
Nope.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That was amazing.
That was
I
super
don't
good.
think was that the one with the animals?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I saw that in theaters.
Yep.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Okay.
Motherfucking Oppenheimer at 3.
That was great.
Yeah.
That movie was really good.
I think I know what's
Okay.
gonna. Okay, go. Keep going.
Me too.
Keep
I
your
hope so.
mouth shut.
I hope.
Number 2 was nope, it was Super Mario Brothers. And,
Oh, yeah, I like
and
that
number
movie
1
too.
was Barbie.
Hell yes! That
Make-
movie I saw 3 times in the theater. That was so
Yeah.
good.
It brought in a whopping $1.4 billion.
Yes, it did.
I mean, that's,
Way to go, Greta.
that,
was
that,
Love it.
that
I
pales
love
in
that movie.
comparison to what I made last year, but whatever.
That's amazing.
Billions.
I forgot that
That's
was last year.
incomprehensible.
Yeah,
That's
last
crazy.
year was Barbenheimer, guys. How do you forget
Yeah,
Barbenheimer?
I know. That's true. I'm kind of surprised they weren't right back to back, but I forgot the Mario Brother movie came out last year. That was cute too. Really cute.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It had your boy
I saw
Jack
that in
Black.
theaters twice.
Yeah. See?
I saw a fuck ton of films last year. Last year and this year, my lists are going out of control with you.
I'm behind on movies this year. I'm going to go see a movie today, I think. I want to go see The Free Guy.
I am on.
Oh,
Or
You-
Free Guy.
Fall- Fall-
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy.
Not
Fall Guy.
Free Guy. I get those mixed
I
up.
think-
The other
I
one's
think-
the Ryan Reynolds movie I like too.
yeah.
I think
Fall
Wes
Guy.
and I are going to go see Tarot either today or tomorrow. Because,
Yeah.
again, that's another one that he's like, Dad, I want to see this. Because every time I take him to see a horror film, there's horror film trailers. And he's like, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. I'm like, okay, we can do that.
Yep.
So Pod of the Dead, welcome if this is your first episode. This is a movie club, a horror film club, as the title would suggest. So how this works is we kind of go over a little bit here and there at the beginning. Then we're going to throw up the spoiler warning. After that, we're going to have open discussion about this week's homework, which is Talk to Me. And then at the end of the episode, the last like 15 minutes or so, we give out our homework for next week's episode. So if you have watched Talk to Me, stick around. If you don't care about spoilers, more than welcome to hang out. If you don't want it spoiled, it is currently showing on the Showtime app, which that's the only place outside of like renting it that you can really get your hands on it right this second. It's going to show up on like Max and stuff probably right after their run on Showtime, because Max has been doing a lot of A24 releases on their streaming service.
Yeah.
So also somewhere there around the end, we also champion some stuff that may be horror related, may not. Music, tentacle porn, who knows? It's been a bit since we've gotten some tentacle porn on this podcast, and
We have something similar today.
and people,
not exactly the same.
that's all I keep getting are emails from like, Joe Biden sent me an email. It was like, I need, if I'm going to win this election, I need more tentacle porn reviews.
Yes,
And
yes.
who am I to say no? I mean, you gotta keep reading, babe. You gotta keep
Okay.
reading.
Yeah.
So,
I read like 4 books this week. So
all tentacle porn.
no, but I did. Oh, I got to talk about one. Okay. I got to put this on my list. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. So,
Keep going.
oh, thank you. All right. So we're going to throw up that spoiler warning. And then you can just stick around. You can take our hand, as it were, and we'll lead you down the hallway, and we will start talking about Talk to Me.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
2023. Talk to Me. Give me that sweet 10 out of 10 review.
Yes, sir. I am going to cut out one of the paragraphs because it's literally just going over who's in the movie.
Oh, that's fine.
Talk to Me is a horror movie that delivers on its promise of scares, suspense, and gore. The film is directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, follows a group of friends who discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand. They become addicted to the thrill of contacting the dead until one of them goes too far and unleashes a deadly curse. The film is an homage to classic horror movies like The Evil Dead, The Exorcist, and Poltergeist, but with a modern twist. The film uses practical effects and makeup to create realistic and horrifying creatures rather than relying on CGI. The film also explores the themes of obsession, addiction, and peer pressure as the characters are drawn into the dangerous game that they can't escape. Talk to Me is a must-see for horror fans who enjoy a good scare and a gripping story. The film is distributed by A24, the studio behind acclaimed horror films like Hereditary, Midsommar, and The Witch.
Woohoo!
Short and sweet.
So, when they mention about them being addicted and stuff like that, I'm just going to touch on it real quick. That's one of the big things about this film that I love is like how it runs a parallel to like party drugs. It is literally
That's exactly
used.
what it is.
So like I love that.
Yeah, I picked up on that real fast.
Yeah,
I was wondering how they were going to keep that spin going, and I think they did it very well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, how far is too far? And somebody always ends up getting caught up in something because they take it a step too far. And this was like the perfect way of doing it in a visualization instead of like in consuming stuff. You're actually getting to see it visually. So like that parallel there is actually really cool.
There's really no like expositional dialogue about that. There is a scene. There is a scene that I will talk about later that has that kind of expositional dump, like, and it's really weird and abrupt, but. Yeah, it's never about the hand. Like they have like an entire diary, like a Bible for the hand and stuff, and they're like, no, we'll just add a little of this, add a little of that, and like they were saying, like there are upon multiple watches and stuff, you'll pick up on other things, and it'll make more sense what this stuff is and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, let's hear that. Let's hear that heresy. That 1 out of 10.
Okay. So. There's a little like link thing here. I don't know if that's just to the review, so I'm just gonna skip that part. But anyway, don't jump on the hype train. This film will let you down. The opening scene was the strongest part of the movie. It is shocking and instantly grabs your attention. However, that energy doesn't carry on to the rest of the film, which I don't agree with at all. That's so wrong. I mean, they're right. The beginning is like that, but
I really like the cold opening in this film because like it definitely sets the tone. I remember sitting in the theater and I was just like, oh fuck, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
and I think it was so effective because it was a cold opening. So
yeah, it was crazy.
And they're saying that's the only good part of the film is that. So what? I'm not sure. Okay, but they are saying it was good.
This is an example of an idea outweighing its execution. The concept of the embalmed hand used to conjure spirits was unique, but aside from that, this film doesn't do anything special. The main character grieves the loss of her mother and wishes to connect with her, so she uses the hand to do so. This film reminded me a bit of Insidious Chapter 3, but it wasn't as good. There is one other scene besides the opening scene that has any kind of tension or suspense. This film lacked atmospheric horror as well as jump scares.
Oh my God. Are you serious? No, there's no atmospheric horror in this.
I don't think there's a lot.
You don't think so?
I don't think there's really jump scares necessarily, but I didn't even have like an inkling to do that at all in this, but I can see that.
So in my head, when it comes to like, we're in spoiler territory, jump scare, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, wah, in your face, but the abruptness that things switch and go from like, hey, we're having a good time to literally smashing our head. That is a jump scare. It is like jarring, like, holy shit, we're fucking doing this. And they said like that was like kind of their violence. They wanted to be visceral. And they wanted it to be impactful and push the story. They didn't want it to just be there for no reason. Every single time something like that happens, it matters.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there wasn't even anything creepy about the spirits that were conjured.
Okay, that's fair.
The origin of the embalmed hand wasn't concrete, as some characters had different stories as to where the hand came from.
I like that, though.
That's the whole point of it, though.
Well, it leaves it vague so you can do whatever you kind of want with it. It doesn't have to be like, so it's this, it's that. It's like, no, it's because
it's what you're alluding to. Yeah.
It just gets passed on and passed on. Like they literally were like, I'm starting to see them without it. I don't need this anymore. And it got passed on to them. Like you don't need it to fucking hold your hand, pun intended, to fucking get you this is just someone that wants a movie colored by numbers, I feel.
It would have been nice if they had just picked an idea and stuck with it. The development of every single character in this movie was bare bones. The main character was grieving her mother and didn't have a good relationship with her father. Her father was made to seem like he had an important role in the film, but he didn't. That is true.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's a very specific reason for that. They're trying to show the disconnect that when the mother died, there's a separation in the family now, because at her age and stuff, she's like, I just don't want to fucking deal with this. And he's trying to reach out to her, and you can tell, especially early on, he's always out of focus. He's always pushed back, and we're following Mia through the film, and that's how she is viewing him. She's like, no, I'm not fucking dealing with this.
Yeah.
I think they did a fucking great job with that stuff, personally.
She had a best friend who had a little brother and a boyfriend. The dynamics between all of those characters were very cliche and corny. The film was a waste of time and a complete letdown. The only good thing about it was that it was over rather quickly.
I would like to see what they like what they think is a great horror film. Like, that's always...
Well, they said Insidious 3, so obviously, like, that was a movie they watched, so maybe that's, like, in my opinion,
is the best Insidious that I've seen, because I don't really care for those movies too much, but I thought the third one was good, but I don't draw I see the comparison where it's like, it's a possession kind of film, but, like, I mean, it's that whole thing of, like, well, it's not The Exorcist, it's like, it's not trying to be.
Yeah.
So, I think, another thing is, like, where they're talking about cliche and stuff. It's like, the thing that I really liked about this is it felt like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it felt different. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And yeah, it's a possession movie, which seems to be something we've been watching a lot of, or being exposed to a lot of too. But this didn't come across like the other ones had, because it wasn't the exorcism concept like we've been watching. So I thought that was nice. Like, it was like a party game thing that was very uncomfortable and odd. And I liked, like we said, the cold open. I mean, literally, we're watching a character who's like filled, which we find out later, with like the presence of whatever he's dealing with, because he's been holding the hand too much. And then he ends up stabbing his brother, I think is who it was, and then offing, and then literally, this was like, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, well, I wonder, if he's going to be a main character or whatever. The motherfucker is like this beautiful lighting, stabs himself in the fucking face. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what we're watching. Like, what the fuck? It's kind of reminds me of like when you start in Scream, the original one, where like she like gets gutted and like all the tension of there. And then it was like that abruptness of she's dead. And like, I don't know. It just felt, I like movies with cold opens. You don't get those a lot. And I really, really liked that in this. So.
Yeah, this is like a top 3 cold open.
Yeah, it was good. I liked that a lot.
What's up?
I have an echo in my headset of myself. Do you know what I can do to fix? I guess I don't hear it as much anymore.
Oh, it'll get fixed.
When I talk, I hear myself.
That's fine. We'll get it figured out in post. Like, that'll all get cleared out. So that's because your guys' things are dampened down, so that'll be there. But I raised the floor of the audio to cut out, so it's a whole thing.
Okay, as long as
it's an audio engineering thing. It's fine.
Okay, but we're okay. Yes. Sorry to pause it, but
no, you're good.
All right.
Now I'm going to actually have to edit this episode. Son of a bitch! Nope, we're leaving it in. We're leaving it in.
We're not.
No, we're better than that.
Yeah. We're not. We're not better than anything. But I think that like this film definitely has like a top 3 cold opens in my mind. Like the 3 cold opens that come to mind anyhow are Scream. Yeah. The Evil Dead 2013 remake has a fucking fantastic cold open, and this because they're so shocking, and they all do the exact same thing, and it's like, this is the tone. This kind of ties into what we're going into. And we're not going to see these characters again. I mean, you do see the brother in this later on. They touch with that, but it's not that story. Yeah. Because like they've talked, like there is a Talk to Me 2 coming out. And when they made this movie, they'd already had the idea of like, we could do a sequel. We've got the ideas for stuff of that. We can do a prequel that would follow the brother and stuff. Like they already had the ideas of that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Which is smart, because I think this is one of those things where it would be really easy just to make as many as you wanted because it makes sense. And you would just have to make it a little more different every time or a little more unique or whatever, just so it's not that repetitive. It's
got that Hellraiser vibe where it's not necessarily like, I mean, Hellraiser is known for like the Cenobites and stuff, but without the lament configuration, which is the puzzle box, you don't get that. Just like this, it's about the hand. This is the thing. So wherever the hand goes, and it's just this just very like innocuous kind of thing. It's just there. And then someone happens upon it, and now it's their story. Is fucking fantastic, because like, not going to get into it, but like the way the movie ends and stuff just kind of is like, and now we're dealing with this. So
did you guys feel like you connected with the main female? Because like we're following mostly her story with Mia. Is that her name? I'm really bad with the names. So did you guys feel like you connected with her as a character and like had empathy for her and like that kind of stuff?
I think so. Not too terribly. I actually connected or had more empathy for Riley, the little brother.
Yeah.
I really liked his storyline. Hers was good. It was a nice twist on bringing in that like chasing the dragon for a reason. Like she loved the way it felt. So there was that component of it. And then once she realized that her mom was out there, then it kind of had a different spin of, instead of just craving this feeling, then it was like a need to find her.
And from that point, she was never there.
It's not her mom. Yeah.
It's never been her mom. Like that's the, like once it's in you, it knows everything about you and everything. Like that is horrifying. So
her ghost is her ghost, basically, like this, or the spirit or whatever is like basically the same person the whole time, right? Because it's already latched onto her. It's
the from what I've read and everything, it is the bloated, like water bloated body that she sees at the beginning, because every single time she's talking to another one, it's always that same one, because you hear water in the background. There's always this, like, that is such an underlying, like, there's all those little notes that upon first viewing you kind of don't pay attention to as it goes. And I saw that like a note like a long time ago. I kept it in my mind, so rewatching I was like, holy shit, yeah, it's right fucking there in front of you. Like it's you overlook it. It's just right there though. Like if you know to look for it, you just hear like the kind of like watery stuff or like water drops and stuff like that. It's all some sort of demon or ghost or whatever, because we only know it to be ghosts because that's what we're told.
That doesn't mean that's true.
That doesn't mean that's true. It could straight up be a demon.
Yep.
I took it as a perceived possession movie that ended up being an evil ghost story.
Okay.
Instead of it being something inside of her possessing her.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah, because
had it been a perceived possession story the whole way through, I wouldn't have liked it as much as I did.
Yeah, it's like, that's the thing that I really like about this film, is since it doesn't just tell you what you're watching, it leaves, especially for like our reasonings and stuff, it's very open for discussion. And like, you know, someone could be like, yeah, no, it's just a demon and it's fucking manipulating this girl into wanting the little boy to he's a little boy to be killed so they can gather another soul. Like, because you do see, there's one time that you get to see the other world, hell or whatever, which they had to cut down severely to even get it as an R rating, because it is horrifying what you see. It's like blood orgies and someone eating a baby and like all this shit, and you just see him getting fucking, like, there's a bunch of people, and it just it's
so uncomfortable.
It does a fucking fantastic job. And Mia, when she comes out of that and is freaking the fuck out, give her all the flowers. She did a phenomenal job on that just emotional breakdown in this film. And like the Filippo brothers were talking on a South by Southwest interview and stuff, that she was so down for everything that they were like, hey, can you not sleep tonight? So when you come in tomorrow with the scene that we're doing, we need you to be completely like drained, like energy wise and stuff for it. And she's like, yep, no problem. And would just fucking do it.
That's cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I
And
like
this was her first film.
Okay. So she did good. I didn't feel like I connected to as many of the characters as much as I did the little boy, obviously, or the young teenager or whatever, but I thought she did a good job for acting. I thought all of them did realistically. I thought all the acting was done pretty well in this. And then the mom is fucking out of this world amazing. I loved her. She was like, she's kind of, well, I would say that we are as parents. So I was like, I love her, and she was great, and she was a good addition to actually, that was the humor of the movie if you think about it. She was the one that was adding like, I know what the fuck you're up to, like she's calling them out.
And just like I know that I've said like what she has said in jest in the same way. It's like, if this fucking happens, I am going to punch you in the face. Like everyone in the room knows that that's not going to happen, but that's her way of saying like, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. And the way she's trying to play everyone, it's like, no, just tell me, when's the party tonight? Your sister already told me, but I just want to know. And she's like, I don't fucking know, what's going on.
There was something very familiar about like 80s movies with the friends hanging out, the mom being so overbearing. That part didn't seem like a Zoomer movie, I guess, unless like you said, the circle is now complete, that all of the things that we saw as kids and as high schoolers is now just coming full circle, and it's happening again.
Well, they say it's like every 20 years. So like 20 years would have been us in high school. Oh my God, so fucking old.
I know.
Well,
literally 20 years ago wasn't the 80s?
I'm going to go just jump in a trash can. So this is the final episode of Pod of the Dead. Thank you for taking this ride with us. I can be found at the local dump.
You're ridiculous.
I just realized we're old geezers.
You realized? Fuck.
I have a 20-year-old, so I've been feeling old for a long time now. So, the other thing I really liked about this movie was that it wasn't American. I liked that. Like, it didn't have American people. Like, the accents were, but most of them were Australian, right? Yeah,
it's Australian through and through. Like,
one of the characters felt a little more New Zealandy, so I wasn't sure if it was just all Australian, but they're similar accents. But
that was very important to them. They've even said, like, in their future films and stuff, they want to keep true to that. That's where they're from.
Yeah, they should. I liked that. I like watching things. I really like British stuff. I like things that aren't American. Like, I like when it's the whole movie. It's not just, a character. I like that. So, like, that, I did not know that going in. So I liked that they had that in this.
Well, and it's also kind of interesting when you think about, like, the way that they view being in high school outside of the accents. It's no different than here. Like, it's very it's still European descent and all that stuff, but it's just because it's Australian. I forgot that it was Australian when I suggested it and stuff. I could have held this for Foreign Film February. Son of a bitch. But I had been chomping at the bit to get this one on. So this was definitely a me pick since I watched it with Wes in theaters. I think it wasn't too long after that we started talking about doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely like one of those things where I was like, oh, and I can't wait to get to this film. And then when I was just like, fuck it, we're just going to do a whole month of A24 films, get them out of the way. This is one. So
yeah, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and I thought it was just creative, and I liked like some of it, like especially like the dog scene was ridiculous, very uncomfortable. And then, but I was cheering the whole movie because we actually had a bulldog in this movie, and I was like, I love when we have dogs that actually don't die. So that's nice. I am so happy because as soon as we started, Nick was like, I'm just gonna let you know, the dog doesn't actually die in this movie, and I was like, thank you for sharing that.
you do get a kangaroo death. Which is sad, but at the same time, it does make sense. At the very beginning, there's the kangaroo in the middle of the road.
But she doesn't run it over. It's just in pain.
But it's going to die.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like she doesn't actively run it over.
No, correct. but that kangaroo literally is a proxy for Mia's character. It is something that is in a lot of pain that just needs help, and no one is there to help her. There's such a there's such a thing. Like, that's why, like, she sees the kangaroo again, like in the hospital and stuff like that. There's so much despair in this film because you're talking about a girl that's a mother. You're told accidentally kills herself. But then later on, you find out that she had been suffering from depression and had finally just kind of been like, you know what, I'm ending it. And you get this this back and forth between the dad and her and everything. And it's just this whole thing about how, you know, a death in the family and everything, especially at a younger age, can be so damaging to a family dynamic that she just wants to kind of do things to forget about the pain of life. So that again rides into the whole drug like thing where doing this as a way to numb reality and stuff, this is so much easier to deal with. It's so like, oh, it's fun. And she's already ostracized going into it. She goes to the party and people are like, why is she here? What is she so fucking weird? She's so this, that, and the other. And that just makes her want to be accepted more. She's willing to jump off that bridge to I just want to be part of the, for lack of a better term, part of the cool kids. So then I don't have to fucking worry about thinking about my mother dying. And it was like her anniversary date, like a year or two that it happened. So you know that this has been going on for 2 years now, that she has just been wallowing in this and not making any progress and stuff like that. So,
well, I already knew when we were watching the movie because of the way that it came out that she didn't, like, that was kind of normal, and like you already knew she committed suicide. Like they
don't hide that.
No, but like she was clinging to the fact that that wasn't what it was, and like you knew from like how it was explained and all that stuff that she did, and
all she was told by her father is that she had died. That's it. Like that something had happened. She accidentally took too many sleeping pills because she's trying to soften the blow. He's trying to soften the blow to his daughter, which I understand. But then she tells
us later on that like she saw scratch marks on the door and like all these things that she had viewed
because she was trying to get help is what she knows.
That's what she assumed. Yeah.
That's what she was told.
Yeah, I know. I get that, but it's still like we knew as the viewers that that's not what this was. And
correct.
And then like the scene with her dad, with like that was weird too, in the mirror or whatever it was. It was like, it's not really your dad, or in her head or whatever. Yeah.
Where that was crazy. The ghost or demon is playing her against everything. Like it's that whole thing of, just trust me. Don't believe anybody else. Just trust me. That's not your dad. That's not this, you know, and even to the point where it's going to take on the form of her dad to prove the point that, you know, that's not, because the dad she's talking to is real, and then in the mirror it's like, that's not your dad, he's coming to get you, and it's just that creature, that demon,
putting shit in her head,
coming at her again, you know. And then we get the old scissors to the neck scene and everything.
Yeah, but I was glad
saw coming a mile away. That was straight out of Oculus.
That was definitely like, I think that's the only like gore or jump scary scene or whatever that is definitely like what do you want to say? They showed you a mile away.
Foreshadowed. Yeah, you could definitely tell something was going to happen. Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad the dad didn't die though. So that was something I didn't expect, because I actually thought maybe he would die, and he didn't. And then the hardest part to watch in this entire movie, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this, you have to tell me what the hardest part for you was the scene with the boy. That was
which one?
Just the younger kid
scene?
Well, yeah, the initial one, or the bathroom scene, or
any scene with him, but definitely the initial one, because he's like, I had to close my eyes because I was afraid he was literally going to pluck his eyeball out, and I was like, because he goes to like take his eyeball out and he's like smacking his head against this, and I'm just like, holy shit. And like they don't veer away from that stuff very much. Like you get to see it's very like graphic, and I can't do eyes. Like I couldn't do it in the movie with was it Crimson Peak when they stab him in the face. Like I couldn't do that, and I definitely couldn't do this. No, Nope. It was a lot, but I liked it because it was like really, it looked real. Like I liked how they took care of that, but I felt really, really bad for that character. He was just like this very tragic character the whole fucking time.
And they said, like, in the initial script, it was so much more visceral. The whole movie itself was so much more extreme, so much more violent. And, like, after they wrote it, they, like, looked at it, they're like, we want to make this believable.
Yeah.
So they're like, we got to peel back some layers. We got to peel back some layers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they were like, they wouldn't even tell. Like, it was like, no, it's fucking crazy what we had written in the original script. They're like, we had to make it, like, we still wanted this, even though it's a supernatural film, we still want it rooted in reality.
Mm-hmm. I think they did it that successfully. What was the hardest, like, scene for you guys?
Well, yeah, it was definitely Riley smashing his face. Actually, I think smashing his face into the tile in the bathroom was even worse because he's already in so much pain.
And he's like smiling about it and starts licking up the blood.
Yeah, I couldn't. That was, at that point, that took it too far. I was still surprisingly in it, so it didn't, like, take me out like a lot of gore can. This made me incredibly uncomfortable. So the way, like, the first act, I wasn't really into it because it was kind of like that. I will say, though, that party scene, while it wasn't, like, aside from, you know, Riley smashing his head, leading up to that, I was starting to get into it because there was like some nostalgia about it.
Yeah.
And that was when I liked how they did that. And like you mentioned, Nick, the party drug aspect of it, because you could have taken the hand out and put lines of coke in and it would have played basically the same. So I like that. And I like the fact that, like, you see that somebody had mentioned, I think it was in my review, about the peer pressure aspect of it. Like, the young brother just wants to be involved. He wants to feel it. And that's really, like, quintessential to, like, bringing your kid sister or your kid brother along to the party he's not supposed to be involved in.
Yeah, Tasha.
I do have exactly, yeah. Like, and maybe
straight up, like, no, she straight up would come. She would come to my apartment when we were partying and she was still in high school and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was that same thing of, I'm just curious, what's it like that kind of thing. Like, hey, come on.
No. I was just like the sibling. No, you don't want any of this shit, man.
The difference was you didn't walk out.
Correct.
That part really irritated me with the sister, because then she just leaves and then it's apparently all Mia's fault for doing this, even though big sister walked out. So
Correct.
That part bothered me.
Correct.
I do have a question about the Riley scene, though. So if the demon or the spirit or whatever is already in Mia, is it one spirit or is it multiple spirits, or is that up for interpretation?
It could be however. Like, it could be bouncing between, like, if you touch the hand, that's all it takes. If you touch the hand for 91 seconds, it's got its grips in you, because that's the only it's the only thing that ties the two together is she went too long, he went too long. That's it.
Yeah. And is his soul really in hell being torn apart? Like, there are so many what ifs that I'm very interested to watch it again.
The brother from the guy that gets killed at the beginning, when they talk to him, he straight up is like, it'll wear itself out, like, and it'll go away. Like, it is doing that. Like, because when the sister is talked to, it's like, he woke up, he seems like he's doing better and stuff like that. I think it is happening, but the entity is telling her, like, no, he's in so much pain, we have to kill him, it's the only way to release him and stuff like that. So it's just playing her like a fucking fiddle.
Well, it's kind of like being stuck in a, like, if you get high or you get drunk or something, it's like you have to wait for it to go away. And it's kind of the same thing. You have to wait it out,
ride it out,
let it go away. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the same thing that happened with this kid. I don't know, like, why it took so long and why hers didn't wear out like his did. You know what I mean?
She kept going to the hand.
Doing it. That's right. So it just kept she kept just basically getting high again. So yeah. Okay. And that's why it wouldn't wash off. And that's why it started fucking with her head more and more. Also, if you do it in that parallel of drugs, because then it starts getting into you more and messing with your head more.
Then you start sucking on toes.
Yeah, that was weird.
That part, like, the initial part was creepy, and then the aftermath of, like, you can't even trust what you're seeing on the screen was another layer of, it was done so, I don't want to say so beautifully, it was done so effectively.
I love that shot too of the corner. It's like clothes. It's literally what you think of, like, when you're laying in your bedroom and stuff and you see something in the corner, it's like, it's clothes on the chair. And you know that but then something crawls out of it and you're like, oh fuck, man, like, you know that's what's gonna happen, but then it happens and it's just like, I'm not cool with this, guys.
Yeah.
But
because you want to see like the image, but you always just see the clothes. So I thought that was really, it never like morphs into it and then crawls out. You just see it crawl out.
Yeah. Going back to your question, Steph, of what was the hardest thing to watch or the most effective thing to watch?
Yeah.
Mine is the end of the film.
Okay.
Like post car accident scene.
Okay.
After the car accident, that scene still gives me goosebumps, and we'll get into that a little bit, like in a little bit, just because I do want to get to the more peak of the film. But that film, or that part of the film, still gives me goosebumps and like makes me almost sick to my stomach because of the despair of it, like the fucking like being absolutely alone and everything leaving you. Like that is such a, like, possibly the best ending for a film that we've covered in my book. Like that ending is such a gut punch that it gives it like a whole extra point. Like, like it sticks the landing so hard in my book. But yeah, that's, for me, it's like gore and stuff doesn't really do anything to me. I'm so desensitized to that. So I just kind of look at that stuff and I'm like, oh shit, that's shocking that it happened because I wasn't expecting it. And then I just sit there and like go like, that looks really good. Like that's all I do. So like when it hits you with like a legit emotional bit, it's just like, oh my God, like it's, that shit wrecks me. So that was the most effective part of this film.
Because the sister yeeted the other girl into the road and got her killed.
Well, yeah, like from the dad getting knifed in the, scissored in the throat and stuff. Yeah. So it's up to interpretation what exactly happens, but I'm 99% sure what happens is, so she gets Riley, wheels his ass out as, I don't know how that fucking happens. Just getting rid of belief there, because I'm pretty sure you can't just get all those things off of someone and just wheel them out, you know? But so how I see it is she gets there, is going to push him out into the road because she can't bring herself to kill him by stabbing him. The thing is in her, or in him rather, fucking with her. She lets go of it. So she is not going to push him there. The sister is running up behind her, and in the last ditch effort to, because she can't tell, she's from behind. In the last ditch effort to protect her brother, she pushes Mia out into the road, and Mia gets fucking hit by a car. And the way they shoot that is so fucking good, because it's building, and then you're just in the car as it's coming. You see the semi fucking turn and everything. This car flips and everything. And then it's just Mia in the road watching everybody rush to her body because she's dead.
Yeah. And it took me a second for some reason. My brain didn't link that was Mia at first. I thought it was Riley for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it took me a second to go, oh shit, he's on the curb and she's the one in the road. Yeah, I really liked the ending. You said you wanted to go back a little bit, Nick, and so do I. I want to go back, honestly, all the way to the very, very beginning where they're in the car with the music blaring. Yeah. And that
singing some Sia.
Yeah. And that was when it, like, for what that pinged into me, that music or sound design was going to play an even bigger role in this movie. So from that point on, I kept it very loud. I think I'm learning how to watch horror movies in a much better way, learning how important sound design is to this. And I think it was very, very, very well done. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Really? Was the sound, the soundtrack and just the ambient sound. I did miss out on the raindrops, I think, though, or like I didn't pick up on it, but I think it really, really helped, one, build tension, but also like carry that tension through. And sometimes I subconsciously was picking up on the sound, and that was giving me that like appropriate, like visceral response aside from like what we were watching. Yeah. I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah. The twin Michael, he didn't do the sound design. He had done sound design though in their YouTube stuff and everything. So he basically just kept riding the ass of, I'm trying to remember her name. I don't have it right here, but the girl that was doing sound design, not in a bad way, but he was very specific. Like, I want it to sound like this, and I want that, like, so there's scenes where, you know, sound keeps going behind you because you're following Mia or whoever, like, or following Riley. So there's like the scene where he's in his sister's room and everything, and is leaving, and she's like yelling at him, and he's walking out of the room. She's like, shut the fucking door, and all this stuff, and you hear the door slam, and it's done such in a good way that you can tell that it's in a different part of the house at this point. And a lot of that kind of stuff. So he like in that South by Southwest interview is like, sorry, yeah, I know, but I'm just really anal about this stuff, and I wanted it to sound a very specific way and everything.
It paid off in dividends.
Cool. Because like I didn't pick up on it that much. I picked up on certain things, but not as a selling point for me. So it is cool that like that is a selling point for you in this. Mm-hmm. But
because like in that scene, you hear them singing Sia, and you go, okay, there's a reason that they're singing it with such intensity. So you get, at least for me, like I got kind of hyped because you have the cold opening and then that, so you kind of get hyped, and then you see their faces and you see the kangaroo. So, and we see a lot of movies where it starts out with a dead animal on the side of the road, and that kind of warms you up, although we already had a pretty big just instant warm up. Yeah. So from that part I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. So I made sure, with that being so important for that scene of them singing, I made sure to keep that tempo, to keep the volume up. Nice. So then I had that same effect throughout the whole movie, and I think that really helped.
Okay. Yeah. We do have a lot of dead animals. You're right. Like Train to Busan, X. Yeah.
X has the worst dead animal scene. That cow being exploded is a lot.
Yeah. It's pretty rough.
But going back, my problem with expositional dialogue in this film is in the scene where Riley lays down with Mia because he's scared and all this stuff. They're just like talking about stuff and everything, and then out of fucking nowhere he's like, how did your mom die? And now we're just getting this, like, there's nothing leading to that. And I understand, you know, like he's like a middle schooler or something like that, so like not knowing social cues or not knowing like when it is very abrupt. But as a film, that's the only part in this movie that I'm like, that just doesn't feel natural. Everything else, all the other dialogue between people really works. Like, I think that they do dialogue phenomenally, and the actors and actresses, their depiction, like they feel like friends or family. But that is such a jarring one for me, where they're just like talking about like, yeah, you'll always have me and all this stuff, and then like, and there's not like a second. It doesn't feel like they're not just like sitting there, and it's like sitting there and he's like, I got a question to ask you. It's just like sentence ends and he's like, how'd your mom die? And it's just like, oh God, that's so abrupt.
But it makes sense for the film, because then his character couldn't have said the things that he said to her without knowing the things that he knew when he got possessed. So like that in itself makes sense. Like they filled in that blank because he couldn't have been able to say the things, possibly if he didn't know.
If it's the same thing that was in Mia, it would already know all that stuff.
But it can't be the same thing that's in Mia.
We don't know.
But he's supposed to have somebody separately than she does, because they're both possessed. That's what we're led to believe. But that's what we're led to believe.
I don't know what we're led to believe, to be completely honest. Like, there's so many ways that you can just be like, there's multiple entities. That's one entity. It's one entity that can be in multiple people. There's nothing telling you this is what it is, other than there is something going on.
Well, the other thing is, like, he though gets it, and then it makes him be violent to himself, right?
Versus it likes him, because when it's in her, it's like really eyeing him down.
Well, it says it's standing behind you and blah, 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 blah. So like, it's like in the room with them, and it's like scoping him out. So it's when he's in the room originally, it's this character and Mia telling him that there's somebody looking at you. He's standing behind you. So part of me is like, maybe that's the one that's waiting for him to touch it. And then that's when it's...
We already know that they're liars, though. It's willing to say anything. So that's where, like, for me, everyone's going to have their own opinion. For me, it's all just one thing, like doing that. Granted, the end shows a different thing, right? But in this instance, I feel it's one thing.
I don't.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like it's different ones because we do get shown different ones from different characters that are
yes and no
looking at the dead. So
because we see the mom, but it is the bloated woman. Like so, it can make itself. She's inside the daughter, so it's staying inside the daughter. It can make itself look like anything at once. It even shows Riley behind her and stuff. It can show you whatever it wants to manipulate you. So that's why I'm saying is like. Everyone's going to have their own, because you're going to make connections in your own head, and I'm going to do it, and Tasha's going to do it, and the listeners at home or in their car or whatever. So that's what I think is very interesting in this is like you can pick out a lot of things to cover your side and be like, nope, this is what I think it is. Where someone else could take another group and be like, nope, that's wrong. This is what I think it is. That's what's really good about this film, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. What do you believe, Tasha?
I'm struggling with that same thing right now because originally, upon watching, I thought it was multiple, and I still have there's an inkling of me that thinks it's multiple entities and different people, and you grab the hand and it's different, and that's based, like, we'll get into the ending more specifically or whatever later.
Yeah.
But when Mia is taken in, like when she lets them in, and all of that, like she's whatever, like singling out Riley, there's, like you said, there's something behind you. All of that, and she's like, isn't that where she's like licking her lips and like it gets really awkward?
Yeah.
And then, but all of the, okay, I'm starting to get a little confused.
Yeah.
So, this is so hard. But then every spirit that she sees has, like Nick said, has that same look to them. They're all like, if it was really mom, she wouldn't look that way because she just was essentially, she overdosed. She was poisoned. Correct. So her features shouldn't look like they're wet and zombie-like, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I don't think it was her mom at all.
But the initial, but then in Riley, I think that they like are in this big, like there's this other world, and they're all going up, and for whatever reason, like these spirits are working together somehow. So I think they're separate, but they're working together between Riley and Mia, at least.
And that's where you could literally draw the line to it being like, okay, so yes, it's meant to be used for ghosts, right? But in this instance, it could be the idea of it being a demon, because you have the idea, if you go into Christianity and all that stuff, the whole idea of like, we are legion. We are many. Like it's multiple things, but it's one thing. Yeah. So that I didn't think of that. You saying what you were saying, like kind of like, well, maybe that's the case. Like who fucking knows? Like and that's like what
it's teamwork.
They know, and they're not going to fucking tell us.
Right.
But yeah, like that, I love that being open for discussion and stuff, because like you girls giving your viuppoints, like it makes me question mine, and like, oh well, now I'm gonna have to watch it again and see.
Yeah, I do think it's different ones, only because the wearing off concept and stuff. And I think depending on who you get, some of them are more violent than others, because the one that she has doesn't make her kill herself, versus the other two. One of them actually made him stab his brother than kill himself, versus the other one that in Riley was beating his head against the thing. And he was also aware of like the stuff with Mia because of what she had said to him. So I don't know.
With the brothers at the beginning, I don't think that's possession related. I legitimately think that's stuff outside of him, because he's seeing them without needing the hand now. I think that's the whatever entity making his brother look different. He tries to kill his brother, and then he's just like, I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore, and kills himself.
Yeah, but I still think it's the same concept as what she's personally dealing with. She has one person attached to her that she keeps reiterating. She keeps bringing it back, essentially, because she keeps touching the hand. So she's getting the hit over and over and over again. So she's carrying this bloated woman who then knows that she needs to be her mom, because that's what she's going to connect with and going to actually believe and listen to her. So that's why she sees like the apparitions of her outside of like her head, or well, it is in her head, but you know what I mean? And then
does the mom spirit, okay, so the thing goes into her, right? So we're going to say that it knows everything about her.
Correct.
But it goes into another person and pretends to be her mom.
I don't think so.
No, it does, because she... No. Because it looks at her and says, Mia, I'm so sorry. And she's talking to it like, no, this is my mom. We can't... And who was that in at that time?
That was in Riley.
That's in Riley.
That's the one that ends up killing him.
Yeah, but that's the same one, because if we're led to believe that it goes into somebody and then it knows everything about you, so Mia had already done it, so it learned everything. Then it goes into Riley and pretends to be her mother now and is taking on that stuff, and then goes to kill Riley. It's like, unless they're passing on information, if we're led to believe, though, that it goes in, like, that's where the whole Legion kind of idea can definitely come in. Yeah, because it tells it's not in her when it's pretending to be her mom. It's in Riley.
It left her, went into Riley, did all of that, left Riley. She then goes, and I think that's when she holds on and sees her mom, which is then the bloated woman, possibly, or whatever, again. Yeah. And then that's when she starts to see her, because I think after that, after she goes in a second time to see mom, later is when her ex-boyfriend spends the night, and that's when she's starting to see them, because it's kind of like a blurry apparition at first through a window, and then it's the crawling out.
Well, and all those blurry apparitions, all those blurry apparitions that she's seeing, like in the hospital and all that stuff, it's always her mom. It's always in the form of her mom and stuff like that. Even in the bathroom scene with the banging on the doors and the scratching and stuff, it's always playing as her mom.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me with that, other than the idea that they could be connected, is that, so I don't, like, she does act like her mom, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that she is. It could just, and it,
no, we're
it
not
doesn't mean
it
that
is.
It's her. It doesn't mean that it could be the one that's in her. It could be because it knows the information from her telling the boy about her mom dying and stuff, that it could just be playing a part.
Correct.
Or they could be communicating with each other. Because the only thing that doesn't make any sense is because it's still stuck inside of him the whole time. Like, it doesn't just go away. Because obviously it doesn't, because like, he gets beat the shit out of, and then he wakes up again and he starts beating the shit out of himself again.
But we are projecting that it can only be in one place at one time. With what you're saying, you are suggesting that it can only be in, if it's in him, it can only be there, where I don't think that.
But they're showing that at the end of the movie with her, and has her spirit.
And that's what I'm saying, is like the differentiation of they're going after it as ghosts, but it's this demonic thing that gets through, and we're not dealing with ghosts
anymore. Well, maybe it's both.
Previously, like, they are, when like you get the big montage and they're getting like the French singing person and all this stuff going on. Yeah, they're getting ghosts, but then they accidentally get that fucking demon, and that's the problem. It's the same idea you get with, like, this is essentially a Ouija board film, just as a hand.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're just getting a fucked up person, entity, or whatever you don't know. But at the end, you do know that it's individualistic, because she is now on the other side.
Well, yeah, and I unless anybody else has anything else to say, we'll get into that, because
that's fine. Yeah,
here we are.
Yep.
Okay, so we get there. Okay, we're there.
Yep.
So this fucking ending, my God, it hit so hard in theaters, and it hit so hard for me watching it again for homework. The way it's done, where she dies, and then it just, like, it's very hard cut. But now she, like, turns and she's in the hospital, and you're seeing Riley's doing okay. And it's all these long shots of her just, like, looking through rooms, and she sees her dad, and she's, like, trying to get her dad. The lights are shutting off, and it's not just like the lights are shutting off. You're hearing, like, clung, clung, clung. Talking about the sound design, Tasha, it's very abrasive. The lights are going off, but it's also the door is shutting, is the sound idea of that. You see Riley is now leaving, and it's this whole thing of her freaking out, like, no, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. And it's just black. And then you see the silhouette of her as you hear a fucking match strike. And she is going, the light at the end of the hallway, the whole idea. But as she's walking, she sees a hand sticking out, and she grabs the hand, and she is sitting in another room as they're like, now say, I let you in. And it's fucking, she's there now. We don't know what time frame this is. This could be 100 years from now. This could be yesterday or tomorrow. Who knows? But you're watching life go away at an accelerated pace. So time has no meaning now. And she is just left here. And that is what they depict as the afterlife in this, is just black. And that is so fucking, like, harrowing.
Heavy.
Like, yeah. So I remember telling Tasha about this at one point, maybe on the podcast, where I was just like, it's not about like the stuff, it's like kind of what they suggest like the afterlife is.
Yeah,
and that sits so fucking hard. Like it's no fucking surprise. Like I'm an atheist or whatever, so this is kind of what I think it would be like or whatever, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, you don't want your thoughts to be validated on screen.
Yeah, I just see that and it was like, oh, so that's why I'm saying like it makes me sick to my stomach when I see that, because I'm just like, oh my god, that's so fucking depressing. But I love that ending, because this film could not end any other way for me.
Mm-hmm. One thing that stuck out to me that you didn't mention was she looked in the mirror and didn't see her reflection, which was something that she had mentioned. I think when she was laying down with Riley in that like vulnerable
she keeps talking about, I keep having this dream where I look in the mirror and I don't exist.
Yeah, so it's interesting that she alluded to that well before it even happened. I don't know. I really have nothing else to go off of with that. It's there. That part stuck with me. Like, oh, this was part of your dream.
Yeah.
And now it's seemingly happening.
Yep.
Yeah. I would love to get a candid discussion with these brothers and just be like, off the record, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I loved the way it ended too. It leaves a lot open. I don't want them to do.
I'm cool with them not doing a sequel. Yes, this is a perfect film to sit as itself. But it also, though, does just lend itself. And if anybody else is going to do it, it better be them, which they have said they're going to write and direct it again. So it's going to be them again. So I will say it would be cool to see them with Jordan Peele. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like if it's going to be an A24 film, if it's going to be like who's going to distribute it, you know, all this stuff, who's going to be involved. And they are working on another film separate from, like, they've got that, like they've said like, oh, we're going to be doing that, but that's not their next film. They do have another film in the works that is supposed to be coming out. So I don't know the name of it. I just saw like a little like headline about it, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait. This is another director duo and stuff that like I see the name. It's like, I'm going to fucking watch this movie. Yeah. I don't know what I'm in for. Same with a lot of these directors, like Osgood from last week, and like, you know, Eggers and fucking Ari Aster. It's and it's one of those things that A24 doesn't necessarily make the films. They just know what they're looking for to distribute, and more times than not, they're pretty fucking good. No matter how up in the air your nose can seem, because it's like, oh, like elevated horror. Go fuck off with all that shit. These are just really good films.
Well, I did hear something recently about A24. I was actually listening to these roundtable discussions, and they were talking about how A24 goes about handling movies that they're actually going to make that maybe like it's obviously brought to them and stuff, but like they're going to be the one funding it. I don't know how it works exactly, but
they do make some films now that they hadn't previously.
Yeah, and so they were talking about how working with them versus working with other companies who do movies. I can't remember which actor was talking about this, but at the roundtable I was listening to, and he was talking about how they actually take like 2 to 3 weeks prior to the movie even getting started for people just to sit and to do dialogue together, to get a rapport, to like run through your lines, to like definitely give you a chance to kind of sit in the character a little bit more, which is not like a lot of places where they just literally throw you on set and expect you to just do it. It lends, they said, to like the quality that they felt like they were getting, being able to do that they don't get to do on all the films that they are on. So,
and that reminds me, Steph, when you were what you were talking about reminds me of what Nick mentioned when we were watching Hereditary, which is also an A24 movie, that the brother and sister had to be like in close contact for a long time before they started shooting. Yeah.
In character.
So it's cool that that's like that's like a thing that is consistent across, or maybe.
Yeah. I like that. I think it's neat. I think it lends to the quality of their movies. It definitely has a different view. And I was also listening, since we're talking about A24 films this month, I watched, it was like literally a roundtable with a bunch of people who've been in A24 films, and Brendan Fraser was on it, and it was talking about how he had taken such a long time off of being an actor, obviously, and how he then decided to be part of The Whale, and like all his experience of that, he was getting really choked up on it, and like his like the craft behind all of it. And I just thought it was really cool to listen to like the perspectives of people making these movies, and like and the guy, and I wish I remembered his name, the guy who plays the dad in Anywhere Everywhere, whatever, the All at Once movie, that's also a 24 film that won a lot of freaking awards. He was the guy that played in the Goonies, and he played in one of the Indiana Jones movies and some other stuff when he was younger, and he couldn't get any jobs for years because like he was basically saying that, you know, Asians didn't care. Once you were a child, you weren't a child actor anymore. They didn't want to work with you anymore.
You're talking about Ke Huy Quan.
Yeah, him. He's so sweet. Like, I loved listening to him talk about how he wanted to get back into acting, and then that was the first movie he got back into since all of everything, and coming back into the acting world. And I really, like, it was just neat to hear all of them talk about, like, working on these films with this, you know, company, and how it's, they seem to really like it. And it's like, you know, they have a lot of headaches with certain people. Oh my God, I'll have to find it. I don't remember what it was, but Tasha, I'm gonna have to tell you about it. I can't remember what director was. Somebody that one of us likes, and I think it was you, Tasha. It was like a director or something, and they were like talking about how working with him was the worst. Oh no, it's Nick. David Fincher. That's what it was.
I can believe
That's
it.
not shocking.
Oh my God.
Sure.
Oh my God, it was so funny. I know that's not an A24 one, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Yeah,
No matter, you can talk about David Fincher all you like.
Oh my God.
I love that man.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I think it was Brian Cox on one of the open table things that I was listening to, and that was talking about how David Fincher does like literally 29 to 30 takes of every episode, like of every single scene. And he's like, and what's messed up? He goes, you get for the first 10 or 20, and then it's like he finally realizes there's actors on set. And he's like, and then we're already tired of doing our stuff. And he's like, what's wrong with my actors? And he's like, you missed the first 15 takes because you're just now realizing they're here. So there's something about working with him that people just don't like, at least from this roundtable talk, because of the way he handles his filming. I was like, oh shit.
It's kind of like Kubrickian, like Stanley Kubrick, where he's like, it's not necessarily that he needs 30 takes. He's going to do the 30 takes because he knows he's going to get this like frustration out of you. And through that is where he's going to get the takes that he wants. And it's that kind of shit.
Okay.
Like Stanley Kubrick.
They hate it. That's all I knew.
Stanley Kubrick like fucking like destroyed Shelley Duvall, like the wife from,
okay.
Oh my God, like ruined her like for life in a way. Like,
Oh man.
fucking was just horrible to her. But it was I'm not here saying that it's okay. I'm just saying he was fucking so hard and mean to her on set and stuff because he needed her to be completely destroyed as a character in that film. Whether that's okay or not, I'm not here to fucking, like, I'm not here for that. But it is a thing that some directors do, and some people
It's crazy.
like working with those people, and some people do not. Like, it is definitely, like, I'm not an actor, I'm not a director.
No, yeah, it's been interesting. Like I said, it just happens that I ran into that video this week of like all these actors that's been in A24 films, and I'm like, I'll talk about it a little bit while we're here.
I do want to watch The Whale sometime. I'm just not emotionally ready to, because
me either.
It's Darren Aronofsky, and every one of his films make me weep like a baby, and I know that The Whale's going to do that.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
yeah. I mean, Brendan Fraser's literally crying on screen just talking about a movie he was in, and I'm like, that it says enough in itself. And it was talking about how like he was wearing 300 pounds of prosthetics at times just to make it look realistic, because if you look at like heavyset people from earlier films, they just stuff them in like a cotton suit and all this. He's like, they didn't do that with this film, so it just lends to like the quality that's very important to them in terms of acting. And yeah, I want to see The Whale too. I just I don't want to be wrecked right now. Some of these movies are just they're hard to watch, especially A24 films sometimes. So
well, I was actually kind of worried because I forgot about the tone of this film.
Yeah.
I forgot about that when we went into it and it started, and I was like, oh shit. And I instantly had flashbacks of you watching Hereditary. And I was like, oh,
I noticed that too going in, but it wasn't a problem. I was like, oh my God, this girl's mom died when she was a teenager. And like, I was like, oh, my dad died when I was a teenager. And like, I would have given anything too at that age to like hold a hand and talk to my father and like make sure he's okay. Yeah. Like, and my dad also died tragically. So it was like, yeah, there's a line there. The only difference is I didn't go and do drugs and party with my friends after that. I just became a teen mom within a couple of years. So I mean, I think that probably kept me from doing anything like that. So, but yeah, it was definitely a line drawn. And then this movie was also kind of in the same vein of like Hereditary, in the sense of like the brother and the sister thing. And in this case, it's the sister and the brother, like where the brother's the one that gets fucked up instead of the sister. But it's the same fucking. It's literally the same fucking concept in a sense. Except the brother luckily doesn't die, he doesn't get decapitated or whatever. But yeah, that was good. So that didn't bother me. I because I didn't. No, it wasn't that emotional.
I could tell that it didn't. But like once, like getting back in the movie, like I remembered a lot of it, but then I like legit just completely forgot about the mom bit, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, Hereditary did wreck me though. That's true. That was like forever traumatized.
New trauma unlocked.
It was, but it's such a good movie, so like I can't fault it for that. I mean, obviously, if it did that much to me, it's obviously brilliant. So
we'll do a double feature with Hereditary and The Whale.
How's The Whale, I know.
Oh my god!
And we'll follow it up with like a nice long therapy session.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
With all that being said, you girls want to get into review territory?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So, Steph, go ahead and give us that review. What are you thinking of? What are you thinking you're giving this?
I really don't know. Like, I gotta be honest, like, I love the concept of this movie, but I am looking to really connect with the characters, and I don't feel like I did as much as I would have hoped to. The teenager part didn't bother me. We have a bunch of teenagers, so I kind of like that aspect of it, and I liked, the drug ass, the partying and all that. I thought it was really good. It was really well made. It was well acted, all of those things. But again, I didn't have that, like, connection that I wanted to have with a character in this. And I really genuinely, Mia's character, I did not like her. I didn't like her pretty much at all throughout the film.
I don't know if you're supposed to.
I wasn't sure either. It was kind of like that, like,
she's sympathetic. Like, you can feel with her, but I don't think you're supposed to be like, yay.
Yeah, I love the mom. Like, she was probably my favorite character in the whole movie, just because I'm a mom and I get where she's coming from. And she was like very protective, and she just seemed like she gave a shit about her kids. And like, I really liked that in this. And, but I didn't, maybe it's just because I couldn't connect to the main character. Like, I liked the boy, but like, other than that, I'm going to give this like a 6. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I would rewatch it. And maybe it has better rewatchability and I would like it more the second time. But the first time around, I was kind of teetering between a 5 and a 6, because anything below a 5 is something I won't watch again. So I definitely know I would watch this again. It wasn't scary to me in any capacity, other than the fact that it was a little jarring with the violence. Like, because it was very abrupt, and it was very like in your face, like that made me uncomfortable. But other than that, I didn't find this movie scary at all, which is fine. I'm totally okay with watching horror movies, so don't scare me. That's not an issue for me. I'm not one of those reviewers, but I would say 6 is fair for me. So, hey, Tasha.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to. It definitely had a good arc. The beginning, like I said, if we go act by act, it got better as the movie went on, which is great.
I agree.
It kept me interested. I didn't fall asleep. I watched it at night. Yes, can I say?
10 out of 10.
And I made sure to set the environment. Like, when I watched it, it was raining outside, and it was raining while the movie was on. So I think the environment in which I watched really helped drive it home.
Okay.
I definitely connected to Riley, which if that's your he was my favorite character. I was like interested in that storyline the most. The parent aspect of it, that kind of took me out of it, where like the mom and dad relation with Mia, and then like that part I didn't really care for. That goes back to me not really caring for high school movies. But I will say that got less and less apparent as the movie went on. So that was nice.
True.
It made me extremely uncomfortable in many parts, which I would prefer that over fear. There was like the jump aspect of it. The first time Riley cracks his head on the table. That was jumpy. I can't think of any other time, but I like it also when like the tension resonates and builds and sticks with you. So the boyfriend scene where he's like full on going at it on the floor. That was
making out with the dog and
that's
trying to
something
rub
I've
one
never,
out, basically.
Exactly. That's something I've never seen in a movie. So the ability to kind of do something new that makes you feel cringy and uncomfortable was refreshing, as weird as that sounds.
Okay.
No, it is very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I liked those components of it. And I really, really liked the ending. I like that this movie is up for so much interpretation, which makes me want to watch it again. So thank you for the code, Nick. I'm giving this... There are some things that I don't like about it that are overarching. I'm giving it a 6.75.
Okay.
Because it does have a lot of...
She's pulling a eunuch.
I am.
In the court. She's going.
I couldn't give it a solid 7.
We got all the numbers. We might as well use them.
Yeah, that's why they're there.
I'm going to go down to really... I'm going to next time.
We're going down to thirds at some point.
0.1003215.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I did. I'm thankful for the podcast because otherwise I would never have watched this.
Agreed.
For me, I've kind of been teetering between a couple scores. I think that this film, upon initial watch, was more, I don't want to say more effective, but more shocking because I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
So this time watching it, I was able to I knew where we were going and everything. The violence in it was still effective. It's because I was still going wait, is this the scene that Riley does this? Is that because it's not the first time that he's taken over that it happens. I think it's the second time. And I really like the cut of the montage of them partying and all doing it and stuff. And that's when it shifts. I think they did a really good job of that. Like I said, there was just that one exposition spot that kind of is shifty that I'm not crazy about. I love the mom. I love the dynamic in the family. The ending of this film, I cannot off the top of my head right this second tell you an ending that has resonated and hit as hard as this ending in a horror film. I can't, because there's so many times that horror films miss the fucking landing in a big way. And this fucking movie, it should be studied, I feel, in college for horror, because there are just horror film classes and film school and stuff. And this is one that you can just be this is how you end a film effectively. For that reason, specifically because of the ending. I love the movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's probably one of, if not the best horror film of the 2020s. Granted, it's 2024, but there are other ones that I like a lot because of the violence and the gore and all this stuff. But as a full film in tone, I can't think of one that has hit as hard as this for me.
Okay.
That being said, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Damn.
Because I was teetering between a 7.75 and an 8, and then just as we were talking and bouncing it off of you girls and stuff, what we thought and all this stuff, that made me appreciate and like this even more, because it's not so just it's the demon, it's Pazuzu, this is the Exorcist. It's no, it could be ghosts, it could be possession. Because even when they were being interviewed, they're we're told that this is a possession film. That's what people are telling them, because they're not telling you what it is and stuff. So they're I really like that. I love the parallels between drug addiction and party culture and stuff. There's so much in this that works for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do next. But yeah, if you haven't seen this film and we ruined it for you, I still think that it's going to be effective. Because explaining that ending does it no justice. Right. That ending just sits on, at least me, I don't want to say you, sits on me like it's a fucking heavy weight on the chest when it fucking happens, because it is literally the oh shit moment of the film. And I love that.
I think all of our teenagers would also like this. I don't think any of them have watched it besides Wes, and he's not a teenager. I think all...
Yeah, the youngest one in the house is the one that was Dad, let's go see this.
But we have 3 teenage girls and then a 20-year-old, and I think and I don't think any of them have seen this. I actually genuinely think all of them would like this, including Sid. I think it's definitely because it touches on their culture, what they're dealing with in life and what they're going through currently, and then having that discussion with them of like, this is, the drug concept.
Yeah, this could straight up be like a really good anti-drug film.
Yeah.
And by no means am I trying to be like, fucking drugs. I mean, I'm on drugs all the time. But prescription drugs. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no, it's crazy.
Peer pressure.
I'm not trying to sound like the Reagans. That's all. I don't want to sound like Ronald Reagan.
You're terrible.
Say no to drugs.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So that gives us a 69.
Nice.
Well, there we go.
I was really hoping that we were going to cross that 75. This was going to get into Hall of Fame territory, but it happens.
Yeah, sorry guys. I didn't rate it that high. So.
No, it's fine. To each their own. To each their own. So that's Talk to Me.
Okay.
Definitely going to watch this. This is definitely like it's in my repertoire of films that I'm going to suggest for people to watch. Like if you haven't seen this, check this out, because it's and this isn't me talking to the listeners trying to sell them on it, because we're at that point where they probably have whatever. This is me just talking to you girls. The violence in this is very effective, but I don't feel that it's gratuitous.
No.
Correct.
Like there's like the eyeball scene but like it's still like it's just really effective. So I don't want to like be like, if you don't like gore, you don't like. I just think it does its thing really fucking well, and if you've missed it, you're doing yourself a disservice to not at least give it a shot.
Yeah, and I'm one that's picky about gore, and I agree with what you said, that it's done effective. It's necessary where
Correct.
It is, and it teeters on going too far, but not too far in like a comedic sense. It's
Correct.
just in he's banging his head against the tile. We've seen that. Mm-hmm. Now we're taking it yet another step of drinking his own blood and licking it up. Like that's another thing that I haven't seen done before. It's not like, somebody's stabbing somebody over and over again and there's just an immense amount of blood. Like it takes its own spin to make it icky. Yeah,
it literally, I can only imagine for you, like it gets to that point where you're like, no more. And that's actually where it stops. You're just like, oh my God, it's... Yeah, because you're just like, please
I just want to turn away. Yep. I'm thinking about turning away, or I'm thinking about it going too far, and then it's over. And that's perfect. And I can only imagine how hard that is for a director to know that timing so beautifully.
Yeah.
I think they did good, like with that and this. And I also think like another movie we watched, which happens to be a A24 film that did that really well, was X. I think X did that too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't too much. It was just the right amount. And then it was like enough to make you uncomfortable. There is one scene that gets a little heavy handed, but I felt like it fit well for that scene. So like that was another movie. I mean, that movie is definitely grosser than this one, but yeah.
The van scene in X was just comically over the top. That one took me way too far out of it. I was like, okay, this can be over at any point. Other than that, the rest of it was really good.
It was. The van scene was great only for me because it was the background music that it was playing. I can't remember what rock song it was.
Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult.
Is that what it was? And then it was like, now we're fearing the Reaper. No, it was amazing. So I love that. But yeah, so.
All right, girls, got anything that you want to champion for this week before we give out homework?
I have a lot of things. So whoever wants to go first.
I have one thing I'm excited for.
Okay.
It's not out yet, but I guess it could kind of change. So there's a new series on Apple TV or Apple Plus, whatever it's called, that's coming out on the 10th.
Okay.
It's called Dark Matter. And the reason I'm so excited about it.
I know why you're excited.
Here we go. Is because that is one of my all-time favorite books. And I screamed like a child when I saw it pop up. I saw an ad for it the other night and I was like, oh my God, that's the book. I'm super stoked. So it comes out on the 10th.
Okay.
And there are 2 episodes that are coming out back to back, and I am very, very excited.
Who's the author of the book?
Blake Crouch.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Abandon is the book of his I've read.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I haven't read that one, but what I have read of his, they're all like sci-fi thriller, twisty, turny.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how they take this incredible book and put it on the screen.
You have
Hopefully
my interest piqued. I might have to check it out. If we still have Apple, I don't know if we still have it or not.
We don't. But
And if you don't have
it. So
read the book, or do the audiobook. If you want the hard copy, I have it. But I think you would really like the book.
Okay. I'll add it to my list then.
okay. You got anything else, Tasha?
That's it. That's my one and only.
All right. What do you got, babe?
Mine is a music one.
Okay.
We're going back into grimy, like fucking heavy shit. The Pennsylvania band Full of Hell has put out like their 500th album. These guys put out albums all the time. But this is their most recent. As of recording, it came out last week.
Okay.
It's called Coagulated Bliss.
Of course it is.
And it is fucking great. Like they're like a grindcore band, but like not just blast beats all day. They've got like some noisy electronic kind of feedbacky stuff going in there. If you're not familiar with the band, I don't even know what I could compare them. I honestly don't know what I could compare them to if you're not already aware of them. What they do really well. Other people have tried to ape their style and all that, but Full of Hell is like, they've been out for, I want to say their first release was in 2010. They do a lot of collaboration albums where they will get another band together, not a split where it's like some of our songs and some of their songs, where they will actually blend the band together and write material and stuff like that. They've done it with like doom metal bands. They've done it with like Japanese noise artists like Merzbow and stuff like that. So they go all over. They're always looking to push themselves in these different sonic territories and stuff. And they've written quite a few albums, but this is their first album in a while that like hit me really fucking hard. So yeah, it's on all streaming platforms and stuff. If you want to pick them up. They've got fucking great ass merch and stuff like that. So yeah, Full of Hell, Coagulated Bliss, super good. This album also has like weird, like, I don't even know, like some of the riffs and stuff kind of have like a post-hardcore feel to them at times and stuff. So it's all over the place. The vocals are not for the faint of heart. This dude's vocals are intense. And if you really want to see like them like really doing their thing, look up live footage of them and see the energy that this band puts in. They're fucking great. So yeah, Full of Hell, Coagulated Bliss.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Do you have anything else?
Nothing that I necessarily want to champion. I mean, I watched Baghead, which had a really cool idea, but the film itself was kind of lacking. But check out Baghead, I guess. It's on Shudder. It's an
Baghead.
It's an hour and a half film about a thing in the basement of a pub, and like the atmosphere is cool.
Oh, that's what you were watching in the bedroom the other day. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was all right. I bought I already had Shudder, and I bought the hype train and checked it out, and it was all right. I think like Sydney would enjoy it more. It feels like it's more of like a young high school kind of thing, but it is interesting enough. So check that out, I suppose.
Okay. So I got a couple things. I got some books and I got a movie. So I've been reading this alien romance series called Outcast of Corinth. I did not write the author's name down. I'm sorry. And it's, if you like Ruby Dixon, who writes like the Ice Planet Barbarians, I know this is going over a lot of people's heads. They're like, what the fuck is Ice Planet Barbarians? Well,
Joe Biden is here for this. There better be tentacles. Yeah.
So anyway, this is similar to her series, I would say, to Ruby Dixon in the sense of they're both blue aliens and they're just not a nice planet.
Don't be subtle about it. You say the shit.
I know. So it's just like warriors and human aliens. Humans and aliens, and it's good. And the males have blue peens, and they have an extra little thing to them. So they're good. I'm on the fourth book. I'm almost finished with the third book. I'm going on to the fourth book. So I've read almost all of them this week. So that was okay. And then the worst. This one just made me laugh. So I had book club at our house this past weekend, and we were going over our book. Like, I can't believe I'm going to recommend this. We were going over book recommendations, and one of the ladies that was there and was like, "You should read."
I know what you're going to say.
I know. So, she was like, "Well, have you heard of the short story called Mating with Mellows?" And I was like, "I've heard of it, but I haven't read it." So I was like, it's 21 pages long. It's like really short, and it's in Kindle Unlimited. And I was like, you know what? We're not going to have that as our monthly reading, but hey, I'm going to put this on the list because I'm going to read it and I'm going to share it with everybody else. So that was my objective. So I did read it that night. It's very short, but it is it's a little dark in a couple of ways because of the past storyline. It's actually really well written, and it's about a lady having sex with peeps.
Yeah, Tasha's looking at it right now.
So they blow up in the microwave, and they become a blue and pink giant bunny peep, and she gets it on with them and their sugary goodness. And I was laughing hysterically. This book was fucking ridiculous, but it actually is well written. So I was like, I would never recommend it if it was poorly written, but it's actually well written. It's just ridiculous. And apparently she has some other parody books out I have not looked at yet, but I'm probably going to read those if they're just as good. But yes, I would suggest if you like ridiculous Easter candy peeps porn, then you should read this. And then the other one
is porn. You said it's porn. I caught you on recording. It's porn.
this one kind of is. I mean, it's just like a short erotic story. So yeah, it's not.
I really like the subtitle too. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous.
What's
Go ahead,
the subtitle
Sasha.
for this?
It's Mating with Mellows, an erotic sentiment candy romance.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was.
I'm sorry, an erotic sentient candy.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Freaking hilarious. It was so cute. So if you, like I said, if you have Kindle Unlimited and you like reading ridiculousness, you should read that. So
You like fucking marshmallows.
yeah, literally. I'm like the whole time though, I'm not gonna lie. I'm reading this and I'm like, how does she not end up with a yeast infection by the end of this? I don't know. But I just let it go and I was like, it's just fiction. Let it go, lady. So I did. And then the other one was actually, I've been extremely impressed with Prime's like actual movies they've been coming out with. They've done okay with series over the years, but their movies have really lacked in quality. And so in the last year, I've watched 3 movies from them that I have actually, most of them are romances, but they have actually really hit for me. Obviously, I've already talked about in another episode the new Roadhouse they made with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. I fucking loved that movie. I liked it better than the original. And then they came out with a new movie that actually has, I can't remember the guy that's in it, his name, but it has Anne Hathaway in it, and it's called The Idea of You. It's based off a book. I've never read the book, and it's an age gap where she's older, he's younger, and she is, moving on with her life, and her daughter's a teenager. And I watched it last night, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because sometimes those come across very cheesy. And he's a rock star, like of a boy band kind of thing, and he's like 24, and she's 40. And so I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but actually the movie was exceptionally good. It was well acted. I loved the plot. I thought it was really, really good. The ending was okay, but overall I really enjoyed it. And the guy that's acting in this, he also played in Red, White, and Royal Blue and some other things I've seen, and I love him as an actor. And Prime also made Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is based off of a male gay romance series or gay romance book, and I loved that movie too. So yeah, if you like romance movies, The Idea of You is for you, probably.
And I'll say this, I was in the room while you were watching it and everything. Mm-hmm. I was doing homework and stuff on my phone and getting notes and stuff, and was kind of passively watching it. It really wasn't bad. Like Anne Hathaway is actually a really good actress and everything. Yep. The idea of like the boy band and stuff is kind of like whatever, cheesy or whatever, but it is actually like I'm not one to fucking say this kind of stuff about romance movies. They're not my bag. Yeah. But it wasn't grossly cheesy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like, oh my fucking God. It was well written, well directed, and all that stuff. So you know what, guys? If you're a guy and you've got a lady at home or a man at home or whatever that likes romance movies and stuff, and they haven't watched this, it's I think it's only an hour and a half too. It goes
it's not very long. It was really good.
You sit them down with our week's homework coming up, and then you go, hey, and I've got this other film that I think you might like, and you sit there and you watch that with them and stuff. So you can kind of do a double feature, double date. Yep. Not double date. I mean, I don't fucking know. I don't know what things are anymore.
What is our homework for next week, Nick?
Oh, okay. You ready for homework? For our third film for May 24, we have the film Green Room. Okay. Now, this one was actually suggested to us, but I had already had it scheduled for this month. So, Doug, who suggested The Blackcoat's Daughter, had also suggested this one, and I told him, oh man, you're really going to like May because I've got some ideas for it, so stick around. So, yeah, we're going to watch Green Room. It's got Anton Yelchin in it, and it's got Sir Patrick Stewart from Star Trek. He's
Okay.
in it.
I don't know anything about this movie, so okay.
It is. I think Tasha has suggested this film
She
in
did.
the past
Last
too,
year she gave us
which
the
blows my fucking mind that you suggested this film. I've seen it. I've seen it a few times. I can't wait to see how you like this film because, damn, it's an intense film.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's different. It's not a possession film or anything like that.
Thank God.
We're
This
over those for today this week.
Yeah, I think we're over possession for a bit.
Okay, thank you, because it's been a lot lately.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any possession for a bit. So
Okay, that's good.
yeah, so we're going to be watching Green Room. I believe it is streamable on Max.
Probably. They have a whole area for A24 films. So
Yep. So it is streamable places and stuff like that. So that's our homework. So what was the film that you suggested, Stephanie?
For what?
The one you just talked about.
Oh, sorry. You used my name. That was weird. The Idea of You.
So there you go. You watch Green Room and then you clean it back up with The Idea of You with your family. What do you got, Tasha?
Green Room is currently not on Max.
Oh, okay.
According to this, it's on Hulu,
Okay.
YouTube with a primetime subscription. So it looks like you're most likely going to have to either watch it with commercials or rent it.
Okay.
So that's our homework for next week.
Okay.
So I hope everybody's ready for. Oh my god! I hope everyone's ready for this movie. So I'm just blown away. I'm still just standing beside myself. Like Tasha likes this film. Okay,
You
sure.
recommended it to me. I watched it. It left a mark. I'm eager to talk about it.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
That works.
I'm excited to do homework on it. So, all right. So for
Okay.
Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.